Public meetings work best when the public can see.
Sumner Accountability Cow, your snout for accountability and transparency in Sumner County, Kansas.
Let's go and call this meeting in order and get everyone up and stand up for the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
roll call, please, Russ.
Brandon Earl. Here. Andrea Trifle. Jessica Seeliger.
Here.
Robert White. Here. Mike Wilmot. Here. Jim Yates. Here. Pat Zika.
Here.
Okay, next up, I need adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Okay, we've got a motion. Can I get a second?
Second.
Got a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Recognition of patrons and staff?
No one is.
Okay. First thing on the list, we're going to go into executive session for legal matters, discuss litigation under the CORE Act, discuss COMA complaints to the Attorney General, and discuss FERPA complaints to the U.S. Department of Education for 20 minutes to include Adam and Martin Beck. We'll resume at 6:21. Can I get a motion?
So moved. Second.
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Which I like.
Let's see. And I'll let you
Guys out and the ladies in one. And then
Yes.
there may be one. The big bucks. I'm sure. She said we still have two kids.
Okay, we are back in open session. No action was taken. Our first thing out of discussion item is Education Spotlight Middle School Ag.
Yes, so tonight we are spotlighting our middle school ag program. Mr. Wellington is here, and I believe he brought some students. So.
Good evening. I'm Nick Wellington. This is Branson Elder and Zoe Goodger.
Do you want the clicker?
Do I? Yes, that'd be great. Branson and Zoe are down. Branson and Zoe are both 8th graders. They're part of my 8th grade agri-science class. That means that they are with me for the entire year. 6th and 7th grade are usually with me only for a semester. But these guys is a prerequisite into the high school, so they get a lot more in-depth things than the 6th and 7th graders do. So our projects.
Is it working?
We'll go old school.
I was just
going to turn it on. There's a side
I'm sorry. I'm so sorry.
my fault.
I didn't know it wasn't on. My apologies. And still on.
There we go. So projects this year we focus on now. My projects that we try to do with my classes are 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade, and they usually have all different ones. So these bullet points that we have up here are just not what they did, but what we collectively did. So we did 6th graders focus a lot on our plants, and they do a lot of taking our vegetables and turning it into food while they also grow their own stuff. Depending on the semester, usually the fall semester they do a lot more of the harvesting part of the semester is they decide what they want to plant, what they want to grow, and then where they go from there with that. And then this past year we planted loofahs, and then we took the loofahs and turned them into sponges and other things that we use to sell at market day. We did this year for 7th grade as a lot focused on our science units. And so 7th graders, with the 6th grade we did a bunch of stuff with garden and hands-on activities. In 7th grade I wanted to try to find a hands-on activity, so I decided to undertake taking livestock. And so in this one we started the chicken project. So my first semester class, they went into it and looked at what eggs or what types of chickens do well in our environment, production, egg size, everything like that. They went through the whole entire research part of that, and then we ended up buying them, and then they incubated them. They kept an egg journal, they candled them, they decided which ones were alive, which ones were dead. They will tell you that they autopsied them, and then we hatched them. And then from that, they've been raising them. They had to sex them and figure out which ones are males and females. And then we had just got donated our roosters, and we have our hens now. So, and then 8th grade wise, they do plants and animals as well. However, they do have a construction unit to help Mr. Elder out whenever they go into high school with the construction part of that. And so our construction unit this year was for them to build a chicken coop. So to convert a metal shed into a working chicken coop that we can put outside. And then lastly, the 6th graders, like I said, this semester are doing all their companion-based gardening for our garden that's out back of the middle school. So.
So we harvested the loofahs from their vines, and then we cut off the tops of them so then we could get it, so we could eat the seeds out of them. We did that in buckets. It was very fun. And then we washed them. So we washed them out with water, and then we beat the seeds out, and then we wash them with water, and then we beat the seeds out until there were none left, and then we also we cut the spines out after they dried out, we cut them into strips, and then we cut them into rectangles, and then sew them closed. So then we soap in. Some of them were just straight loofahs. And then with the tails, we would leave those full so we didn't cut them or anything. And we would put like a rope around and tie a rope through the tail. And you could use those as dishwashing sponges.
Or share with us.
Yeah.
So it was a fun experience teaching 8th graders and 6th graders how to sew. So we cut the spines out and then we flattened them out to a certain size. And as you can see in the middle picture there, they sewed either them completely flat and it works as a washing sponge, or they put soap inside of it and then it would be a soap sponge. And then they had the shower loofah there with the hip rope, and then they had the leftovers there, like Zoe was saying, was the loofah tail that you can use to scrub pots and stuff like that. And then we sold seeds at market day. So very good little experience for all of them, and cost us very little amount to start with, and then they sold it all, and then I ended up buying with the money donuts for them and everything like that. So they were pretty happy about that part. So, like I said, we decided to do chickens. So 7th graders researched their chicken breeds, temperament, egg size, daily production, how well they did in our climate. They decided on 7 species, and then I had a student that raises their own chickens, and she brought in 5 eggs for me to try. So we ended up getting 8 species of chickens. We got in total about 24 chickens to hatch. And the kids sat there and they candled them all, decided if they were alive or not, and then went through that. And like I said, bad eggs were autopsy to see at what stage they died in. And so we only got one that we cracked open and had kind of a feathered mess inside of there. But for the most part, they went really well. Now what they do is they daily care them. So they will go in there, change their food, water, they socialize them, so they hand feed them. They hold on to them so that they're used to us getting in there with them. We had one that had split leg, which means that their legs were far apart and couldn't stand up on its own. So we researched how to hobble that chicken, and then we successfully hobbled that chicken and in 24 hours fixed that chicken's leg. So they were able to do that. So these are 7th graders that were providing the medical care for them, so it was pretty awesome to watch them take a baby chicken's legs that are this big and very delicately create stirrups on them and everything like that so that they can wrap them. And so again, we're socializing and getting ready to move them outside. So here's our chickens. So they got really excited whenever we got to watch them pip and zip. So the pipping is whenever they break a hole in the egg, and zip is whenever they break the egg open. And then they were able to watch them hatch inside class and stuff like that. And then you can see the one on the right is that one of our roosters that went to another family.
Well, what happens during the summer?
I'll take care of them. So usually in the summertime, I have my 6th and 7th grade classes. They have the option to come in for my gardening club, and it's all pure volunteer time. So they come in like from 9 to 10, and we take care of our garden, water, feed, and then usually I send them home with whatever vegetables they want to have from our garden, and then so we'll add the chickens into that, but I'll care for them throughout the summertime. So. Then the 8th graders got to do the construction part.
Yeah, so we have about 12 table groups. There's 2 hours of 8th grade classes, and there's 12 table groups. So they made slideshows on designing the chicken coop. So, and then we made an itemized list, and we finalized the itemized list and sent it to Mr. Wellington to order all of our stuff, and then he got a chicken coop. So we had to make the flooring for the chicken coop. We had to build roosting boxes, and then we got a run, and we attached the run to the chicken coop. So then the chickens could. And then we had a door for the run so they can go into the run whenever they wanted to. And
So I got a metal shed donated to us by my brother-in-law, and then the kiddos had to sit there and create their own blueprint, their own design, create an itemized list. Then we went through the requisition way through that of trying to get everything that we needed to make sure we had everything. Because I told the kids, I was like, we don't really want to have 15 requisition forms go in because you guys forgot a screw or forgot. So you guys got to think a little bit in the long run, which was a different way of thinking for some of them is, you know, hey, we got to think down the road, what problems could come up, how do we counter that, how do we fix those problems. And it was really nice to be able to do this because we did have a lot of problems or a lot of things that we wanted to do not work, and then we had to adapt on the fly. And so it kind of changed their mindset about how we do things, and it made them think outside the box a little bit with this. But yes, we have a lot of kids that, you know, they don't know what a hammer is, they don't know what a drill is, how to use those things. And so at the end of the day, we were sitting there and kids were cutting metal out off the side of it, you know, creating holes in it so that they could put the roosting boxes and stuff like that into it. So we have grown exponentially since the beginning of this construction-wise, just knowing how to use tools safely and how to use them effectively. And so you can kind of see here, they cut out here and then they studded out the chicken coop, and then from the stud, then they had a roosting box design that they followed, measured everything out, and then cut everything. And so, as you see here, all these things were done by kids. These were not done by me. The only thing that I really did was use the skill saw. I didn't really let them have the skill saw, but everything else they did on their own. I gave them a little advice. We kind of brainstormed and went through everything. And as you can kind of see, Branson was talking about the chicken run that we attached to the shed. Here they shingled the top of the roosting boxes and then the inside of it. And so I made the comment to the kids. I was like, hey, whenever we were all done with it, I said, does this look like kids did this or adults? They said adults. And I go, take the compliment. Okay, because they did something that, you know, if you look at a bunch of 13, 14-year-old kids that built that, I mean, pretty darn good. So really proud of where they were at with it. Pretty proud of, you know, the problem solving that we did with it too. So our 6th graders are doing the garden. So they had to go through and figure out, you know, what companion means and how plants benefit each other, and if some plants get along and some plants don't get along. And so they decided what plants they wanted to put, and then they had to create a blueprint of what plants go where, what plants go with what, and what can they benefit. And then we ordered our seeds, planted our seeds, and then they are in the process right now of finishing planting their garden. This weather has pushed me back quite a bit with all the cold, so I think we passed that point. So here, I didn't get a good picture of the garden yet, but our greenhouse is very green currently. But yes, we are planting it, then we plan on having a plant sale at the end of the week with whatever we have left, and then go from there. So that is very cool.
What's a companion garden?
So our companion garden, so most of the time we just take plants and you put plants in a row and then you move on to your next row and then your next row, right? So our beds are tiered beds, so they have, we put 6 different plants together in one bed. And so everything is like, if you go back to your social studies lesson of the Native Americans and the 3 sisters, right? Okay. This room of health. The 3 sisters, you know, you have corn, beans, and squash, right? They all grow together, they all benefit from one another. And so the garden that we do is all based off of that. How can our cucumbers benefit broccoli? Or is broccoli, which strips nitrogen and stuff out of the soil, is that a detriment to cucumbers? And so they have to, so whenever they do this, they say, okay, we want to plant cucumbers. Well, what goes with cucumbers? And they say, well, we also want to do this vegetable. Well, does that go with that? No, it doesn't. Can't plant with it. And so then it X's that out, and then they have to go to another plant. And so it makes it for a long process. However, it teaches them, hey, this plant does this, it benefits this plant, it does the detriment to this plant, and then it takes on a little bit. Sixth graders, again, deep thinking again, because it's a complicated thing for those kids to be able to do.
Anyone have any questions for them?
Great job.
Thank you.
Step up any out-of-state travel.
Yes, Mrs. Chase.
Okay. I sent you a thing, I think, you guys got that? It kind of goes over the Next Gen Conference, which is in Chicago, Illinois. It is next month. We have four students and myself going to that. It was a pretty, it's application based, so the kids had to apply for it. We had 5 kids originally accepted. One of them decided not to go, but one of them was on a wait list. And then whenever several kids dropped out, she was able to go. So that's how we came up with our 4 kiddos. 5 kids applied, 4 got accepted immediately, then 1 was put on the wait list. Anyhow, this is kind of this year we're doing something a little bit different. We usually go to the Washington Leadership Conference, which Bob, graciously has sent a kid for how many years? 30 years?
Since 94.
Yeah, so for a while. And so this year, the kiddos that we had were very young, in my opinion, to be sending them to Washington, D.C. Without somebody from Wellington going there to kind of hand on them. So what we decided to do this year, which is really fortunate, is go to this more career-based type of opportunity for these kids. And this is going to be in agribusiness. So they're going to we just got a little bit of the schedule. There's leadership components to it. They're going to be doing some roundtables with some pretty big names in agribusiness and just business in general, and several tours set up. So, but this kind of goes through. The other one is going to be up to Aurora, Nebraska. One student going there to the Strobel Welding Camp in Nebraska. And so that was another one that we were able to kind of send all of these kiddos, these 5 kids, for the amount of sending 2 kids to WLC. So I figured this was going to be a really neat opportunity to get these kids into some career areas that they really are interested in, and kind of push them a little bit more into that area, more so than just the leadership portion of it, because there'll still be a lot of leadership with each one of these 2 camps. The bad thing is that I think Bob or somebody may have to go pick up the kid in Aurora, Nebraska, because we don't get back until the 27th. The only opening that they had on the Strobel was the exact same week that we're going to Chicago. So I'll get him up there and drop him off, and then come back and then hop on a plane the next day. And then we all come home on the 27th. So it's gonna it'll be kind of a crazy getting everybody back. But anyhow, it goes in and tells you a little bit about what the Strobel Welding Camp is, which I'm excited, and this student is super excited. This is what he wants to do. He wants to be a welder, and so getting him this opportunity to go up there for a week to do that is really going to be fun, I think. I put down the cost to the school district, which basically the fuel going up and back to Aurora to pick him up, and I was like, wow, that's like one plane ticket to Chicago almost. And then parking, if we do that, unless we can get somebody to drop us off at the airport and pick us back up. So might be able to do that. So that tells you a little bit. You guys have any questions about it? It's a little different than, yeah. That's what I kind of, I'm really excited about it. The Chicago trip, the big reason why I'm going is this is not one, I mean, and they were just like, you don't need to send a chaperone with them. And I'm like, but do we? I mean, because there's not going to be anybody traveling with kids there and getting them to, the hotel center, and then from that hotel center back to the airport. And I was like, they're like, well, we'll be chaperoning them while they're there at the hotel. Yeah, okay. But what about the rest of the getting them to the hotel and back to the airport. So I was like, I'd feel better if I went. So, and there is an advisor part of this, so, which I think is
The thing
exciting.
that I'm excited about is we get to send more kids.
Yeah, that's what I'm excited about, is just the economics behind it, you know? I mean, it's,
And this way we get double our money.
yeah, getting to send this many kids for that, because I think this year the WLC went up to almost $1,600 a kid. So, in this here, the conference, the Next Gen conference is $200 a student. And then round trip airfare is roughly gonna be about $315 a kid. The Strobel is, I think that one was $250 for that week. And that's all their meals, and their lodging while they're there in those 2 camps. So I'm like, that's a pretty good deal, you know, so if we can do that, I'm all for it, and I think the kids are really excited about it, especially a little bit more career-based. So, especially at the high school level, that's where they're getting ready to, they don't know what they want to do yet. So we've got the kids that are going to Next Gen will be 3 current juniors, so they'll be starting their senior year, and 1 current sophomore, so 1 a junior. The kiddo going to Strobel is a current sophomore. So, you know, so I think this is going to be a really neat opportunity for them. And I can't wait to see the Aurora Center, because I think that's going to be in Nebraska, because that's their big FFA and 4-H camp. And so I've heard amazing things about it, and part of his camping list was to bring a fishing pole. And I was like, are you kidding me?
Does the welding program kind of tie into what Callie's doing after he graduates in a couple of years?
I think it
I know
will.
they can get certified.
Yeah,
in Cali.
yeah. This one here, I don't think is going to have any certification with it, but it's going to do, I've seen their schedule, and they're going to be doing over 20 to 25 hours of welding themselves during the week. The kids will be. And then other times of the day, they're going to be touring huge manufacturers and looking at different manufacturers in that Nebraska area that are, you know, hiring welders, and then they have speakers that are coming in. So I'm excited about it because I think that's a great opportunity. And so I told him, I said, you have to take really good notes and come back and tell us everything, because this might become a thing that we send the kids, you know, a little bit more. So 4 hours straight north. So, you know.
So you have everything paid for except for fuel to Nebraska and parking at the airport, correct? So you don't need anything else?
No.
Yeah.
Everything else is going to
I
come out of
recommend
that.
adding a little bit extra to the fuel with pricing, just to make sure she's covered.
Well, and that was one of the things that when I did that, the 1140, is kind of the 2 round trips, and then I figured it at $5 a gallon.
Oh, okay.
And then
That's what I was
like
just gonna do.
15 miles to the gallon, which right now the ag truck is making, we went to Kansas City and back, and we were at 18.8. So I did figure that a little high already,
Okay.
just to kind of make sure
So
that we
make sure
have
you're
that.
covered.
Yep.
So we're looking for a motion to approve this.
So moved.
Got a motion? Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, enjoy.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good program.
Yeah, we're excited about it.
Thank you, Lynn.
Okay, next up, technology in the classroom.
Yes. Last month, the board began discussing technology in the classroom. It was kind of a general discussion, but at the end of the discussion, it had narrowed down more to the middle school, based off of some things that happened in some other districts and just general discussion amongst the board. And so one of the things the board requested was how much a Chromebook cart costs, because that was a part of the discussion, and so we put that in your packet. That's directly from our tech people. I'm getting that particular quote. And so you see what one cart is for those ideas. And then also in discussing kind of the Chromebooks at the middle school and the breakage that they're having. I had a lengthy discussion with Ryan Ewing about that, and he thought that came in. Obviously not with labor, but as far as parts, it came in at less than $1,000-ish for the year. So because they keep a lot of parts ready and in stock and do a good job with that. And those were the main things. So in your packet is a quote for a Chromebook cart, which was requested. Mr. Meyer also put some survey data in there for you to look at that he got from his staff. And then obviously he is here this evening for any further questions or anything based off of that survey data and moving forward with this topic. So it's kind of just open discussion.
Sure. Any questions on it?
So what we would need to figure out, I mean, I like the idea, I see where we're going, and I think it's beneficial. I think our biggest questions now are how we would implement, yeah. I saw, well, 'cause last month we talked about, would you just have every core class would have a cart? But then in here, we're reading, you know, there were some comments from elected teachers saying, I do, like especially tech classes, I mean, we have to have a tech class.
I know that Mr. Meyer is meeting with his BLT here pretty soon on this topic. And so that's something, if the board is interested in this, requesting something from the middle school leadership as to what you're talking about, a more structure would probably be a good thing.
And we've had some previous discussion about it on what would be the best way to implement this. Would it be maybe piloting it just in sixth grade, or having a progressive approach to where sixth grade stays just in the carts, and then probably maybe go to carts in the seventh grade, but then maybe they keep them for the day, they check them out in that nighttime period, and then kind of transition to where they have them back in their hands maybe in eighth grade. That's just part of the discussion. I had talked, it's been a while, probably January, February, and I talked to them in person, and I know they go to, I think, their core classrooms, and then they kind of do a sharing with their elective courses, or you might have 2 or 3 classrooms that are located in the same geographical area there in the building, to where they check them out maybe based on their need for that day or the week or what have you. So don't have anything exact yet, and so it's a continuing conversation that we're going to have tomorrow. So
well, it'd be interesting to see if there's 2 classes that are going on, there would be Chromebooks, are we going to be short?
Well, we should, because we're one of them now,
No problem.
right? Because that's, I got the same thought.
I mean, I wouldn't want to leave it myself. Once using any class that wants something, they should be able to have
I think,
it.
yeah, I think the only real question is, yeah, how would we?
I like
could
the
we-
idea.
Could we go down from then? Did
I'd
we
like to
ask
see it
one-to-one?
just- Nobody
At the middle
knows.
school?
Take them home.
Could you have to, I don't know.
I like
Yeah.
the idea of trying with the class, like a beta site, trying to ease it into it to be sure it works. And then if you have any issues, you can tweak your process versus just going all in up front.
Always find the opposite.
I don't know, yeah, if you guys could come up with like a more solid plan of the BTL, yeah, that would be great, and then bring it to us next month.
I think so too.
You gonna be around next month? Didn't think so. Okay, give it to him to bring to us next month. Yeah, I mean, I think I think that's what we have to do, is we need to like get a solid plan of how it would be implemented, and then.
is there any other data that you would like, or information?
Okay, so I know we have the price per carts. Do we know how many carts we have already? Like, we're not starting from scratch. We've got to have carts already. So it's not like we're gonna need one cart for everything, right?
That I don't actually have the answer to. I would have to talk to Ryan. I don't believe we have any carts.
Okay.
I think there used to be, we had cars, but I don't think they were the kind of nannies that don't.
So I know they have them at the, because they don't have them all the time. Yeah, I think we just need to know how many carts.
And not to push that direction, but it's starting off at least, because I think sixth grade is where we see a lot of those issues that were brought up. That is primarily where we see it. So again, not getting ahead of myself and saying that, but maybe that would be the most cost-effective way to look at doing a pilot there, see how it works, and then transition to the next step. So we can certainly have that discussion.
Thank you.
Okay, I like this discussion. I personally like everybody just leaving in the middle school, but whatever's fine. But this doesn't really answer kids on screens all day long. You know, it eliminates and take them home at night, but it doesn't eliminate, we haven't dealt with how much time during the day they need to be used, which I know all the things the elementary said.
If I can add to that, not to cut you off, but I know somebody had talked to Megan McPherson, but in my conversation with the principal up there, one of the things that they discussed a lot as a staff is that needs to be a shift in how we're delivering our lessons, our content. And if we go to that, they're trying to not be on their computers all the time. As far as daily. Now, when they switch classes, they might be in, this class and be on technology. So they might end up being on technology a lot during the day, but just not every single day in that classroom. So, kind of a mind shift.
I know a lot of things that the elementary teachers, a couple of them mentioned that they use them for, like, I don't remember the names of the programs they had, but those same programs, you don't have to use those programs. The same programs, the same thing taught by those programs can be taught like they used to be taught, which if our goal is to get back to Bloomington.
But at the same time, we can't remove it completely because their life after school in a work setting.
Oh, I know. I'm not saying get rid of it. I'm just saying, like, I think they're on things programs that we have that we say we need are just programs on a computer that took the place of regular teaching. Not to say they're not teaching. You ever get what I'm saying? I mean, I want to say iReady. Do we use iReady? No. Dirty people about iReady. Yeah, we do. Whatever programs they are, IXL, and that's not really what I mean. What are some other ones they use in elementary?
IXL in elementary, Dreambox, Bottle.
Some of those things, they're great, and we use them and have them because we moved to that type of day on computers. But if we want to get back
So
to...
How much time did Vanessa say at the listening and action steps? I didn't feel like it was that much in elementary, like they were trying to limit it.
Well, that was just a handful of teachers as well.
So are we wanting to...
there are...
So can we get information from more elementary? Do we need to survey the elementary teachers?
Yeah.
So at Kennedy, this is a discussion that we've been having for a couple of years. So we've kind of put something in place where we limit the time in the classroom to the things that we feel like are efficient and important. So the kids aren't supposed to be on Chromebooks during recess. During recess, we want them to play. We want them to use their hands. We want them to communicate with other kids. And similar, like free times, they shouldn't be getting on Chromebooks just for fun. Now there are times where they'll earn like a tech day or something like that where they get to play games and stuff like that. But we've tried to limit ours to around an hour or an hour and a half. But that all depends on what you're doing. So at this point, that's what the curriculum that we're using. There's good stuff that they're getting out of those programs that you can't really do out of books. So some of the things it does is it will gauge where they're at, and it'll let you know what their area they're deficient in, and it'll help you schedule times for kids to work on things that are appropriate at that time, what they're working on. So there are things in like IXL, Dreambox, things like that that are kind of technology based. You're talking about it saves a teacher hours of trying to figure it out on their own, where they can just have the kid do it on there, and it'll tell them these are the ones they missed. These are the ones you can have them work on. And that extends outside of the Chromebook. So they can also say if they know they're deficient in this area, they can give them more practice in that area in any way that they feel like is beneficial. So at Kennedy, we've tried to limit it down to around an hour of Chromebook time, and that's period. That's not an hour, that's hour of fun time, extra learning, all that stuff. We try to get it down to that. Now, is that always exactly the case? Sometimes fifth graders are working on a project and they need to do some research, and they're going to be on it for longer. But that's a discussion we've already been having at Kennedy and that we're already aware of, keeping track of, and our leadership team is doing a good job of
making sure that we're still sailing in the right direction. So I can't speak for the other schools. I know Kennedy we do not just use tech just for the sake of using it. We try to use it efficiently. We try to give the kids as little screen time as we need to, while still understanding they need technology in today's world. We would be doing them a disservice to not get them proficient at using it.
Thank you, Joel. Appreciate that.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
And maybe, I mean, maybe our goal wasn't to, I don't know what our goal was, but in my mind it was to not have as much screen time in the classroom. It wasn't just to, I like that they're not taking it home, and that's great, but it didn't, in my mind, it didn't address the fact, how much time we're on.
I don't know if any of us truly knew how much time, especially if we didn't have a kid in that particular grade level or, school level, how much time we truly are on it. So I think that's where this has helped. And I don't think that they're on them as much as we think that they are.
I mean, 45% of middle school teachers say 1 to 2 days a week is on those, so.
Yeah, I think our teachers are noticing it and are taking charge of that without needing us to tell them even. But I do think that this has shined a light on the problem of taking them home and the problems that we're seeing. I think we tried to address one thing and found something else that needed to be addressed, which is good.
I think one of the things too is that teachers are probably growing weary of trying to police when they are on the Chromebooks, and students trying to get around GoGuardi and getting on emails and all sorts of things. And so sometimes it's just easier to close the Chromebooks and find a different way to work.
Anyone else have any questions on it? You hear that?
Yep. We'll bring that plan back next month.
Next up, graduation honors criteria.
Yes, the board requested to discuss this topic again. The board had a special meeting about a month ago-ish, in which graduation honors criteria was discussed. There was action taken, and so I don't have a lot on this topic besides the board wanting to chat about it again. Mr. Brumgart, Mrs. Gill are here this evening as well if you have questions.
I was content with what we did last time. I think we
So I think the
put a
main
good policy in place.
And we got an email from a student who raised a concern about the GPA factor to the whole thing. Could end up that the student that took 4 AP classes could end up with a lower GPA than someone who didn't take the 4 classes but would still be the valedictorian because he took the 4 classes. Very specific example that may never happen, but it is a little loophole. So I don't know what we could ever do about that.
That policy said they have to take the 4 AP classes to be eligible. So if that kid didn't take all 4 AP classes, there's no way his higher GPA would work. If he has a 4.0 or she has a 4.0 and didn't take all 4 AP classes, and this kid here has a 3.5 and did take all 4, he's eligible. This one's not.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
That's in the policy.
That's the criteria.
That's in the policy.
Yeah.
That's, I see it. It's a tiny loophole, but you're gonna let somebody with a 3.5 be somebody with a 4. Well, it doesn't hurt me.
Do you think it's a loophole?
I would say it's very rare that would happen. I don't think it would happen myself.
I move we keep what we had.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. I don't think we spent so much time talking about valedictorian and salutatorian. We didn't realize what it would do to all the other kids. That started as taking the weighted classes away, lowered a lot of their GPAs, which it's a done deal, it's over, but we didn't think about those kids at all. We just were centered on the valedictorian and salutatorian part that we changed in the middle of the stream, which really wasn't fair. We started knowing what we were going to do as freshmen when this whole thing started, and it was in the books, it was there for freshmen. this senior class all the way through. And then, as a freshmen and sophomores and juniors, they got caught in it because and that shouldn't happen somehow. I just want that out there.
I don't really think that's right.
What?
The whole reason we started. That's because the policy that they had, that the junior class, when they started, when they started high school, it said the AP class is only weighted if you take the AP exam and you pass the AP exam. So it was only switched for one semester for them.
But it was,
so they had already enrolled in those classes before it was switched. They were already enrolled. They already had the idea they were taking the class, and they were enrolled. And then they started taking it. They had to decide if they were taking the AP exam at some point, and a majority of them decided not to. They didn't even try to take the AP. But that is, they started off their school year, or being their high school career, that it was only weighted if you took the exam. So it switched for a couple months, yes, but it went right back to what it was for them. So
anyway,
if you want to be the best,
whatever we're doing, it needs to stay and it needs to be correct. And
Well, we got a motion and a second to keep it as is, so I guess.
do we need that? I mean, it's already like it. We already made the motion.
Not to keep it.
It's already.
If the board doesn't take action, it stays where it is. It's up to you guys. Okay, good.
Next up, handbooks.
Yes, so I'll take undertaking every year as far as review, and so that is this month is putting those in your hands. The administrators have put those together. Business office has tried to compile some things and organize those to try to make them a little better this year. And so that work has been done. Do not expect for you to have read every thing over the weekend. So this is really just us getting those into your hands so that you can review them and we can bring them back for discussion and action next month.
Thank you.
Next up, cell phone policy.
Yes, so new legislation on cell phone policy, and so that the KSB released that policy early for you to review. And then obviously we will have our June updates, which we're a part of here, coming up here pretty quick. But that is released along with guidance. Our principals took that into effect when they were reviewing and doing their handbooks, and so please let us know if you see any mistakes in what they're wanting to do to make sure that legislation was followed. Obviously it's going to be a different world with cell phones in our schools coming up. Lex, you're graduating just in time. Good job. So that's out there for your review and any discussion that you want to have. So we'll get that in your
Like you said, I haven't had time to go over all of the handbooks yet.
Yep.
So do we have it already changed with what the district would like to see in those samples? So, okay. I guess I need to go for that.
Anything except for, and we tried to keep the handbooks to be the same, about the same language too.
Right, so,
Yeah.
okay, I guess I need to go to see what cell phone. So what did we decide we're gonna do with storage? Because that seems to be the biggest.
Well, they're not supposed to be at school. I believe the offices, did Bob Lieber, offices are willing to take on phones for the day if needed. Bob, am I correct in that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, what we got in our handbook is, if we can't see it, we're gonna assume it's in you don't have it. I mean,
Which is kind of how it's written
if like now, if we see it in your pocket, that's still put away. Next year, that will be considered,
right.
And we would take it at that point and take it to the office, and we'll have a safe place for it. Because I would imagine we'll probably have quite a few to start with until we get, but that's where we're at. If it's in their backpack, we don't know it. But if we see them digging in there a lot, then we can search the backpack.
So we don't think we need the pouches and all that.
It's an added expense. I mean,
That's what I'm concerned about, is an added expense, and I've heard the pouches don't really stop.
yeah, I mean, You know, it's going to be a challenge. I mean, our kids carry their backpacks with them, so if they do have them in their backpacks and we don't know, and they go to the bathroom and they're in the stall, I mean, you know, without us hearing in between them, it's not, that'll be hard. That'll be a challenge. Yeah, that's the reality of it. You know, other than we time them when they go in and out. It'll be a challenge to start with, but we'll figure it out.
Thank you.
Anyone have questions on it? Bring it back next month.
I just want to say we need to make sure that we ramp up our communication game then from the school. If students can't communicate with parents directly via their cell phone, okay, I'll just put it out there. For example, on Friday, my son was not supposed to play in the baseball game. He was not supposed to go. He did not have his phone with him. I did not know that he went to the baseball game, got out of school at 1:40. He was not marked absent in the school system. He was at the baseball game. I had no idea he was there. I knew he was going to go to practice and be home at 6. He did not get home till 9:30. I had no idea. I mean, obviously I could have driven down to the baseball field and I figured that's where he was. But he didn't have his phone, so he couldn't tell me that he went to the baseball game. So
something similar happened last year.
Yeah.
Somebody was not supposed to go to an out of town, let's just say basketball, and they got a call from school that the child was absent. It's like, no, they're not. They're supposed to be at school. So through the process of finding the phone, that's how they found out that the kid was. So yeah. Communication does need to be better.
Yeah. Communication does need to be a little bit better. So.
Next up, special programs.
Yes, so we are going to, these next several topics, we're going to be just giving you a lot of information as we end the year on some different topics. And so I think I sent an email out, let all you know that Chad's father passed away, and so he is out of town with his family, and we're thinking about him a lot. And so our wonderful strategists are here to support us tonight, and myself, and so we will go through this, and I know Chad will be watching us and picking apart every word that you say, and we'll hear all about it here pretty quick, so that's okay. Susan, you'll talk about special programs?
So I'm really, really excited to talk to you tonight about some of the projects that we've been working on. One of the first things that we talked about last summer when we all kind of first began was how are we serving our students in the 18 to 21-year-old population. Right now, they remain at the high school through 21. A lot of that is still very much classroom based. They try to get out a little bit into the community, but right now it's functioning basically as just an extension of their high school days. And one of the things we really wanted to do is look at how can we really provide opportunities for our students that are truly post-secondary. In other words, it's not just still being at high school, but really an opportunity to go out and learn some skills. And so you might